Hello, Sue Rose Minahan, Talk Cosmos Chat, part of the Talk Cosmos Weekly program. And Sara Stromley is with me. And Sara is on the Moonbeam team. Last week had a wonderful edition for the Aquarius and Leo full moon cyclations, lunations. And tonight, Sara Stromley is going to give her insights about the full moon in Leo that's occurring January 28th. And you can find Sara at brainbodytherapy.com or Talk Cosmos. Right there, it's the guests. And you can subscribe to these YouTube editions and get a hold of the Saturday programs. Hi, Sara.
Hi, Sue. As an astrologer, when I look at a chart, I see planets as people, and I see the signs that they traverse through as characters they play in the theater of life. And I see situations they're thrown into as the backdrop of the houses they're currently traversing through. And then I see the angles between those planets as dialogue they're having with each other through direct or indirect language. And I'm so grateful to you, Sue, for allowing me to speak directly about the moon because it's integral to how collective thoughts turn into particle matter and things just show up here on the earth plane. So when I look at this full moon in Leo, what jumps out at me is how diametrically opposed and challenged the majority of the planets are in getting the representation and the respect they each want. What blocks the achievement of their individual progress is much like the shadow side of Leo, which is pride and the fixed points of view of being right and that craving of power and the ability to appoint the heavy lifting on others. And Saturn in this chart is known as the greater authority, is opposing this moon. But Saturn in transit is considered combust from the sun. So it cannot be as effective at garnering its authority. And the sun along is another sign of authority known as the king. And it's more reduced in its authority when it's in the sign of Aquarius, because Aquarius prides itself on being seen as more as the unique individual. And the benevolence of Jupiter in this chart and its more helpful nature is also combust the sun. So all of these characters are being challenged by Mars, the warrior, and Uranus, the change agent. Change agent. It's a hard word to say.
It's hard to do too.
It's hard to do too, yes. And these planets included with the moon are all in fixed signs, meaning they're fixed in their positions, they're digging in their heels, they're either shouting, avoiding, plotting against one another, or throwing tantrums instead of talking. And the potential and virtuous side of Leo, and I want to cover this more because we've had some poor examples of Leo recently.
Leadership, yes.
Yes.
It can do beautifully and always does in some fashion, but we have shadow and light. Exactly. So
our previous president has very strong Leo signatures in his chart that were played out as the shadow side. But I just wanted to cover the virtues of Leo so we don't forget that. And the possibility when this focused expression of this full moon can be expressed. And gratitude is one of three virtues I wanted to cover of Leo. And I think gratitude is absolutely magical at dissolving judgments, distractions of frustration, anger, rage, and hatred. And I personally believe that the power of gratitude is what we might define as unconditional love. And the second virtue of Leo is generosity and generosity of spirit. And that is not only just to give, it's the capacity to receive. And my definition of generosity is the power of observation and acknowledgement that permeates beyond the material plane. And the third virtue of Leo is heart connection. And there's an advanced Buddhist technique that seats the vision behind the heart. And the theory behind this is the power of recognizing our heart and recognizing how it magnifies clarity and the ability to heal. Because we constantly send electric pulses and etheric messages through our heart chakra. It can reach as far as 200 feet. They've measured this. And we powerfully connect and disconnect with our outer world through our heart and vitality center. So when we control our heart rate, that can be through breathing, we also control our clarity of thought, and we have more control of how and when it's appropriate to react, and when it's better to connect to what's most important. So, and that capacity to do so. So,
I love this tied in factor that you've expressed, because the heart is, through all the chakras, what gives mercy to our thinking, gives mercy to our actions. It's the guiding principle to integrate. It's good. I like
so,
this.
During this dawning of change that we're thrust into, it's just heartbreaking to me that our connections with our loved ones is broken by this polarity of conflicting realities. And so what's true for us individually is not true for others. So just recognizing these differences is a huge step in coming closer to obtaining win-win situations.
You're having your emotion here reminds me of compassion, the necessity. I know myself lately, just since the good news or the change, I too, I think, have reconnected with a lot of emotional feelings and part of that is through the absence or disconnection. You're very well put. It's yes, challenging and important to reconnect with terms that we can. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you have something else?
No,
okay.
I'll
well,
cover
I will, because this reminds me of Thomas More that I heard on East West Books just a couple of nights ago, and who wrote Care of the Soul. And of course, the moon is so much the soul. And it's concerned with home and love. And one way to bridge that was to keep our friends. And by keeping friends, he said, because we are in this difficult time of disconnection, because of the COVID that we're all experiencing. And we know that with right here, the Neptune that's squaring the nodes and is standing in that position for long periods, that we're working with how we work with our neighborhoods and our communities, with our culture and beliefs, through forces of unknown, which happen to be, I think, through the magical ways of film and poetry and music and dance, which we talked about. But also he's saying, maybe with this, which we can support, just thinking of the nodes here with Gemini, to write and to Zoom, just as we're doing, or email, or write old-fashioned letters, but connect with friends for the heart. He was thinking, which substantiates just what you're saying here, because we write emails, but maybe not necessarily with our feelings. So, well, I guess we covered a beautiful soliloquy. You express so many great features here, Sarah. It's wonderful. I'm with Sara Stromley. Do subscribe, comment. You can ask questions. We're glad to reply. And thank you, Sara. It's been great.
Thank you.
Okay.